Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Off and running. Welcome in. Hour number 2 after further review here on a Wednesday, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Get to yourgoodwood.com. Musso in for Moscona, Braxton Rizzuto, Cassie Spazzali along for the ride, and glad that you are along for the ride as well. We're 1 hour in the books, 2 more here to go, and still a ton to get to as we roll along here on this Hump Day edition of AFR. I want to start this hour, like we did the first hour, with some discussion about the New Orleans Saints. But this time, really honing in on a group that often doesn't get a lot of hype, a lot of coverage, a lot of discussion, unless things are just going very poorly. That's the special teams group. And if we're all being honest with ourselves, and I don't really think this is going to be tough for many of you to be honest with, the Saints special teams in 2025 stunk. They were not good. It was to the level that it cost you games a year ago if you were the New Orleans Saints. You missed a key field goal in the opener against Arizona that could have impacted the outcome of that ball game. Did the same thing in week 2 against San Francisco. Do we even need to talk about week 3 against the Seahawks? My goodness. You had a punt return, a 95-yard punt return touchdown against you. The very next possession, there was a punt blocked. You missed a field goal in that game. Before you looked up, largely due to special teams, you were down 20-0 after 1 quarter. Both Falcons games were impacted. Week 12, that was Blake Grupe's swan song with New Orleans. He missed 2 field goals. If he makes both of those field goals, you're tied at 16 heading into the fourth quarter. Instead, you were down 16-10 and ultimately lost that one 24-10. You go to week 18 against Atlanta. Charlie Smith misses a field goal. Second quarter in that game, you end up losing by 2 points. It cost you games a year ago. They were bad. It's not that they didn't make changes midseason to try and improve there. I mean, Blake Grupe, we just mentioned it. Blake Grupe, in the 11 games that he appeared in, graded out on Pro Football Focus, 41.8 in field goal kicking. 41.8. He made less than 70%, had a long of 54, was just 50% from 50-plus yards. It was time to go. And they made that move, and they went to Charlie Smith. And you know what? Blake Grupe, good for him. He got the change of scenery. He went to the Colts. He didn't miss another kick all year. Good for him. You go to Charlie Smith. Charlie Smith was better. 75%. Graded out 76.3 when it came to field goal kicking for Pro Football Focus. Like, he was much better. But, again, clutch performance there. You missed that field goal against Atlanta in Week 18. You end up losing by 2 points. That's significant. Now, in hindsight, that loss got you the fourth-place schedule that might actually help you win the division here this year. So, we're not going to overreact there. But again, you were bad. So you go to make the change midseason. You do. You're better. Smith, 3-year contract. Boy, the Saints weren't done. You fast forward to this offseason, they asked add Tanner Brown for the kicking competition. We'll come back there. We'll come back to that. How about punter a year ago for the Saints? Man, that was real bad too. 37 players attempted a punt. in the NFL a year ago. 37 players. Kai Kroger graded out 27th of those 37 when it comes to Pro Football Focus. In yards per attempt per punt, he was 30th. Net yards per punt, he was 31st. Punts down inside the 20, he was 29th. It was awful. So he's sent packing, and the Saints bring in Ryan Wright, who, by the way, if you're curious, came from the Vikings, 4-year deal, graded out the 6th best punter in the NFL per Pro Football Focus a year ago. He was awesome. He's here to be your punter, so it seems like you have that fixed. But all of that stuff matters. Field position, obviously, you get points when it comes to kicking a field goal, but field position matters in points too. And you were just really bad in both of those areas. Now, the Saints have made the improvements, or at least it looks like they have. Let's talk about the kicker battle a little bit here because, it was interesting. You saw Charlie Smith go in there, make 75% of his kicks a year ago when he got the opportunity, and he gets the contract, and you're thinking, okay, they're rolling with Charlie Smith. Well, nope, they go add Tanner Brown from the UFL. And we touched on this very briefly because it was just odd timing when they added him. It was June 19th, right as they were, right after there, or right, maybe not June 19th, it was a couple days before that. It was the last day of minicamp. So it was June 17th, pardon me. And it's like, well, you're breaking minicamp. You just added all these guys. Now you're off for 6 weeks. That was kind of that was kind of the vein in which we talked about it. But if you really look at Tanner Brown, that addition tells you this is not Charlie Smith's job. Plus, Brown gets a 2-year contract on top of that. So he comes to the Saints from the UFL, was awesome for the Louisville Kings and their run to a UFL championship a year ago. He replaces Mason Shipley, who they signed as a UDFA. This is a guy who started his career with the Rams after being undrafted in 2023, then went to the Falcons for a brief stint in 2024 before catching on in the UFL. He never attempted a kick in the NFL. So the first one he does will be his first one ever. But it's a powerful leg. This guy made 4 field goals from 60-plus yards across 2 postseason games in the UFL. He was 25 of 28 on the field goal attempts in general over the season, 89.3%. That is certainly what you're looking for in the NFL. Now, that creates a very intriguing battle because Charlie Smith did do some things very well a year ago for the New Orleans Saints in the kicking game. But you can tell with this addition, they're not sold there yet either. How about the return game for the New Orleans Saints? Wasn't great. You go out, spend a draft pick on Barry Brown from LSU. You're looking to improve there. What's interesting is Mason Tipton actually stepped in and was quite good for the Saints in the return game a year ago after the trade of Rashid Shaheed. He was kind of the guy that really stepped in there in terms of kickoff return. Dante Pettis really took over the punt return role, but Tipton graded out 81 on Pro Football Focus and kickoff returns. Do you have a battle there between him and Barry Brown? That could be the 6th receiver that you end up keeping on this roster. I do lean a little bit more towards Barry Brown there just because the Saints have made it known they like him as a receiving option as well, not just the returner. But that's a guy who's arguably one of, if not the best returner in the history of the SEC in Brown. So you addressed there, you addressed that as well. The other portion of this, though, is just your overall special teams play, right? Because, I mean, you really look to this, and Danny Stutzman was your highest graded player on special teams. Jonas Sanker had some really nice moments as well, but Sanker ended up moving into the starting lineup, the safety position after injuries and things of that nature. So special team time was cut down. But Stutzman played 280 snaps on special teams. A quick glance shows you that's 4th on the team. He was tied for the lead in tackles. He was also your highest graded player, did not commit any penalties. You're going to look for him to be a pretty big addition in special teams too, but also he's probably going to take on a bigger role in game as well. We've talked about the scenario where, man, could you get him and Pete Werner on the field at the same time, third down, and move Caden Ellis into a pass rush role? He brings the best pass rush acumen of any of your linebackers that you have. So does that maybe minimize Stutzman's role on special teams? Possibly. Isaiah Stallbird also had 10 tackles and was a top 10 graded player for them on special teams. Those are really your two best over the course of the full season. I mean, you know, I can look and give you Chris Rumpf with 10 tackles, but he also committed 4 penalties. Like there were problems there with him, but he's back, so that's good. I mean, you return your 3 leading tacklers on special team. But the interesting thing there, and this counts really going back to that conversation we were just having about Danny Stutzman, about him maybe getting more action on the field. That's where you get to Anthony Jennings and Tyree Wilson, who you also added in the offseason. And while, yes, they could definitely give you something on the field, when Kellen Moore, this was the last day of minicamp, he was asked the prior day about Tyree Wilson. He was asked the second day about Anthony Jennings and what makes him special. And listen really to the middle of this cut, because that's what really catches your ear.
Yeah, I think obviously strength, stoutness, physical play. I think he's got a really high IQ. You can tell he just processes the game in a very easy manner. I think what's cool is watching him just hop in there and try and find every opportunity he can to help this team. You know, I think the special teams component is kind of cool. Talked about that with Tyree yesterday. These guys are just trying to find roles and find opportunities, which is great. And, you know, he's played a whole bunch of games for a reason because he's a really consistent physical football player.
You love to hear that about those guys coming in free agent and they're trying to make a mark on special teams. That's what you need, especially when you look at the Saints. That's a unit that was quite poor a year ago. Jennings played 194 snaps on special teams a year ago for New England. Punt coverage, field goal block, kick return. He was all over the field. He graded out 66.1, which isn't great, but isn't horrible. He didn't commit any penalties, and he made a bunch of tackles. That's what you need. Tyree Wilson, he played primarily punt a year ago for the Vegas Raiders, but graded out pretty well also. Or excuse me, it was punt return and field goal block. That's where his 83 snaps were split up over there. Can you get him more on kick coverage, things of that nature? If you can, that's a big weapon for you too. As much as we want to talk about the Saints defense, the Saints offense, and that leading to a division title, so will special teams. You have to be good in special teams. You have to be better than you were a year ago because it cost you games. And so far, the New Orleans Saints, they've taken measures this year where you're looking at multiple options at returner to replace Rashid Shaheed. You're looking at multiple options in kicker to ultimately replace Blake Grupe and really give you some stability at that position because it has been a revolving door ever since Will Lutz left. But they have made the moves to be better. And I think that they will be better. And when you're talking about a potential division championship for this team, special teams cannot go overlooked, especially how poor it was a year ago. All right, we'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side, continue with some NFL talk. Who's on the hot seat? You might say, oh, who cares? Well, there's a couple of local angles there that I do want to explore that kind of impact the New Orleans Saints. So we'll discuss that next here on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Yes, hormone replacement therapy. Yes, NAD+. Yes, BPC 157. Yes, ED treatment. The bottom line is, gentlemen, I don't care how old you are, it's about how old you feel, and do you want to feel like you did when you were younger? Do you want to live a more vital life? Do you want to live a more energetic life, where you wake up in the morning, your feet hit the floor, and you're rip-roaring ready to go, where you're motivated to get in the gym, where you have a great libido, where you have great mindset, energy, mental clarity, memory, all that sort of stuff? It's possible. It's affordable. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help you do it. Hormone replacement therapy could be a giant part of that for you. NAD Plus can literally help your cellular optimization to make you younger at a cellular level. BPC 157, tremendous helping in recovery. Learn more. yourgoodwood.com.
Love telling you about River Parish Contractors. rpcontractors.com is the website if you're looking for work, or you may not even know you're looking for work. River Parish Contractors, you need to make this call. Call Big Jake over at River Parish Contractors because they got tons of work lined up. So you want overtime? They got as much overtime as you want. So you never have to. A lot of places want to hire, give you a good rate, but they don't want you to work overtime. Not at River Parish Contractors. They got as much overtime as you want to work. You want to work night shifts when it's cooler? You could do that. You want to work day shifts? Got it. Look, there's no rainouts. They have amazing benefits. They've got PTO. If you're a welder, pipe fitter, pipe cutter, you got to get in touch with my friends over at River Parish Contractors. Call Big Jake or go to rpcontractors.com, rpcontractors.com. Right there in reserve, River Parish Contractors, rpcontractors.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
NFL offseason means hot seat talk. Right? That's how this always goes. Which coaches are going to get fired this year? We had a lot of them get fired a year ago in the NFL. More than usual. There's always turnover. There's always hot seat talk. I did find this interesting, though, over at CBS Sports, looking at some of the hottest seats in the NFL. And the reason is because there's a couple of local angles that connect to the New Orleans Saints. Let's kind of just dive right into it, take them a little bit one by one. So the number one coach on this list for the hottest seat is Aaron Glenn. And I think the connection there is pretty obvious, isn't it? I mean, the Saints wanted to hire Aaron Glenn. I mean, they waited, like they wanted to met with him multiple times. They wanted to make that a reality. He was on staff under Sean Payton, played, like all of those things, it made a lot of sense. And that was when the Saints they're really having a hard time parting ways with everything Peyton era, right? I mean, think about that. They fired Dennis Allen, Peyton era, and they wanted to hire Aaron Glenn, Peyton era. And you look at his first season compared to Kellen Moore's first season and the optimism surrounding the New Orleans Saints right now, and it's hard not to feel like Aaron Glenn picking the New York Jets wasn't the Saints dodging a major bullet. Things can change. It's the Jets, so I don't really think that it will, but things can obviously change. But right now, it feels that way, doesn't it? You look up, you go, well, that's a guy who's had 1 year, and people are already saying that's the hottest seat in the NFL. Again, part of that is because, why? It's the New York Jets, and they don't have any patience over there. It's part of the reason they stink. But even it being the Jets, Aaron Glenn's 3-14 record was the worst record ever by a Jets head coach in their first season. The Jets have had some bad head coaches, y'all. Like a lot of them. And it wasn't just the struggles on offense. Aaron Glenn's defense wasn't good. Remember this stat? The Jets didn't have one interception on the year. Their defense did not force one interception on the year. So it was a shared blame. And you could say, oh, well, man, they cut loose Sauce Gardner midseason, Williams, and all that's true, and that weakened the defense 100%. But they still weren't very good, and they didn't find ways to win games. You didn't have that optimism. Now, yes, look, they've made moves this offseason, and we'll see ultimately how that goes. Geno Smith, look what they did in the draft. Obviously, you end up with the number 2 pick because of this. They added, Omar Cooper, offensively, weapons, tight end, Kenyon Sadiq. So, yes, there's opportunity there. And, of course, with the first round, the second number pick, they get David Bailey. So there's reasons for optimism, I suppose, with the Jets. But again, if you're just looking at this from a Saints lens, to see Aaron Glenn be the coach on the hottest seat potentially going into year 2 feels very much like you dodged a bullet there. The other local angle here for the New Orleans Saints is Todd Bowles, who was here as the number 2 coach with the hottest seat. And I would actually like Todd Bowles to continue to be the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for as long as possible because I think he's a bad head coach. Like, I really do. I think he got to take over a year with Tom Brady, which was a gift. And then they went out, they got him Baker Mayfield, and they've been able to take advantage of a weak division with Baker Mayfield. But when you look at his defense, like Todd Bowles' actual defense, and by the way, he's a great defensive coordinator. But it has taken a hit with him being a head coach. By the way, even with Brady Mayfield, he's 35-33 over 4 seasons as the head coach of the Buccaneers, a 1-3 playoff record. But they have not, to the point of his defense has failed to finish in the top half of the league since Tom Brady was the quarterback. It makes an awful lot of sense for him to be on the hot seat. And plus, you just lost Levante David. You lost Mike Evans. I mean, those are longtime veteran players that they have to replace. Yes, you add Reuben Bain, Josiah Trotter, like all those things. You love the weapons with Emeka Ibuka on offense and all those things. But you have Mayfield and going into a contract year now where he could actually be a pretty expensive re-sign. Do you end up having to go a different direction there? You end up with another losing season and you lose the division for a second year in a row. It's very possible that one of the Saints' biggest rivals is looking for a new head coach this offseason. As I said, I'd like him to stay there as long as possible because I don't think he's very good as a head coach, and I think the Saints are getting better with Kellen Moore. So anything that helps the Saints out there, I'm all for. There's a couple more just to touch on here briefly before we hit break because of the LSU connection. Dan Quinn was on this list, and obviously the LSU connection there is Jaden Daniels is his quarterback. And in Jaden Daniels' rookie year, Daniels set records, and the Commanders made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. A year ago when Daniels was hurt, they were atrocious. Now, their defense was also atrocious, which is Dan Quinn's specialty, kind of like Todd Bowles, which is why he ultimately lands on this list. But if Jaden Daniels can really get things back to where they were into a semblance of his rookie year, not saying he's going to be his rookie season, because, I mean, he literally made NFL history. But you would expect the defense with some of those, additions they made, namely Sonny Styles, to improve. So keep an eye on the Commanders and Dan Quinn and Jaden Daniels. It could be a really big bounce back. Also, they added Kayvon Chase on too, so another LSU connection there as well. And then the last one is the Cincinnati Bengals with Zach Taylor, who, quite honestly, is lucky he kept his job a year ago. And when you look at this and you look at the AFC North, it's hard not to love the Bengals. You have 3 new head coaches in that league. 3. The only team that didn't fire their coach was the Bengals. Joe Burrow's healthy, and when he's been healthy, they've been really good. They certainly seem to have shorn up their defense as well. And there's a lot of love for the Bengals. And when you look at that and you look at a guy like Zach Taylor, who, look, your offense has never been the problem. You're expecting a jump in year 2 under Al Golden. You went out and got, Dexter Lawrence and Jonathan Allen. You're really trying to shore up. You drafted Cassius Howell, shore up that defense, and you're facing a division with 3 new head coaches in it. Yeah, you better. You better, Zach Taylor, or it is going to be time. It just, you don't want to see, because, of course, how much we all love Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and all those, and Jaden Daniels, but Joe Burrow, you really don't want to see the Bengals continue to waste this opportunity in the window that they have with 2 of the best at their position in the NFL. And so far, they've been doing that. So, yeah, I think not only playoffs for the Bengals, but probably a pretty deep playoff run at this point to save Zach Taylor, just given what they're facing there. So, I just kind of found that interesting there with some of the some of the local ties there when I stumbled upon that list, especially Aaron Glenn and Todd Bowles. Really feels like the Saints dodged a bullet with Aaron Glenn right now. And, well, one of your chief rivals, the Buccaneers in your division, could be in the market for a new head coach, given on how things look. And when you look at their schedule, too, by the way, that's second-place schedule for Tampa Bay. It doesn't seem all that unlikely they're going to encounter a lot of pitfalls. We'll keep you posted on that, obviously, as the NFL season goes along, and then when the offseason comes and you see all those decisions made. But always fun to talk about here in July. Before we hit break, Matt, South Point.
Summer is here. Maybe you're looking to upgrade that ride before the family road trip. Get on by South Point Volkswagen, airline just north of Highland, or online at southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. Told you for years, they are Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Maybe you need that full-size family SUV. Make sure you go test drive the Atlas. That's what Erica drives. It's the 3-row, 7-seater family SUV. Tons of space to accommodate our family, all our bags, all the beach stuff as well. Go test drive one today at South Point Volkswagen. Remember, you can shop them online, new and certified pre-owned. So if you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle, great selection. Say it all the time. They're the largest volume Volkswagen dealer. They move more new inventory, so they have more pre-owned trade-in inventory as well. So make sure you shop their pre-owned vehicles over at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
All right, we'll grab a break. It's a Wednesday edition of AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Go to yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Break here, come back. Little college sports year in review. LSU's position might actually surprise you on the surface. We'll talk about that next here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. I love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Here's one from Ricky Gomez, who said Chris, his technician, was very professional and knowledgeable during the HVAC evaluation. He provided details and recommendations in a clear and concise manner. That's one of the things that always stands out. If you're having an issue with your AC or your heater, and River City's 1 Hour Air sends out a technician for an evaluation, they're going to explain your options to you. And that may sound simple, but none of it, I don't know anything about an HVAC, neither do you. Let's be honest. So whenever they go get up in your attic or they go look at your HVAC unit on the side of your house and they come talk to you, they're going to explain very clearly what's happening and your options to remedy it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, as we say, together we roar. Part of the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System. And, I love telling you about Our Lady of the Lake because whenever we talk about healthcare, Our Lady of the Lake understands the two things primarily that people want are access and convenience. And they knock that out of the park. Whether it be at the regional medical center, if it's the lake after hours, if it's any of the specialty services that you may need. Heart, stroke, cancer, pediatrics. You want the best. You want Our Lady of the Lake. You can learn more about the Championship Health Partnership, ololrmc.com/LSU, ololrmc.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together we roar.
So I think we all agree, right, that LSU's sports year was abysmal at times, especially if you're looking at the big three with football, men's basketball, and baseball. All three of them finished with a losing record in conference play. The baseball team set the program record for the most conference losses in a year. And in doing so, you also saw 2 coaching changes for those 3 sports. So I was really intrigued when I saw that CBS Sports did kind of a college sports year in review, in a sense, and ranked the Power Four teams based on their success. And I've always, over the course of the entire sports calendar, I've always really liked this stuff. Like, what was it they used to do? They might actually still do it, like the Capital One Cup or the NCAA Cup or whatever it was, where they had like a point system, and a school would win it, men's and women's. A school would win it, and they'd get like a donation to scholarships and things of that nature or whatever. I always really liked that. And it was always like Stanford or somebody who won it because of how great they were at the Olympic sports or something like that. This wasn't quite that. CBS looked at 6 sports: football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball. So the big 3, and then the big 3 as well, kind of for the women. And they awarded them points and then for finishes and plugged them into the formula. I won't bore you with the formula, but like, for example, bowl eligibility and an NCAA tournament appearance or /, right? 20 points. A bowl win, you advance, in the NCAA tournament around of 32, 30 points. CFP appearance, Sweet 16 Super Regionals, 45. CFP quarters, Elite 8 College World Series, you get 60. CFP semis, Final Four College World Series semis, 75. National runner-ups, 90. National champion, 100 points. So they went through all 6 of these sports for all 68 Power 4 schools, totaled it up, plugged it into a formula, spit out these rankings. Texas took home the crown. They were number 1. They had a score of 66.73. Makes sense. Obviously, Texas had deep runs in really, all of those sports. They made Omaha, deep run in the women's basketball, national tournament, the NCAA tournament there. They won the national championship in softball. They have a very, very good volleyball program, so it makes a lot of sense that Texas won it. Alabama was second. Again, a lot of sense. They didn't win a championship or anything, but they made baseball team made it to Omaha. Obviously, Nate Oates' squad, softball team, deep run in Oklahoma City. So it makes a lot of sense. You kind of get the picture here. LSU actually came in 37th out of 68. So they were right middle of the pack. And all of that is due to the women's sports. There's another deep run for Kim Mulkey's squad. Beth Tarina's softball team made super regionals. Like, that carried the day for you. You got 20 points for a bowl eligibility, but you lost. You didn't even get the points for the bowl win. Your basketball team missed the NCAA tournament. Your baseball team missed the NCAA tournament. Baseball, so you normally would count on in something like this to go deep. But because Kim Mulkey, Beth Tarina, and some volleyball mixed in there, you managed to finish middle of the pack. What's very interesting is when you look at the teams that are around LSU, and that's where you really see that middle of the pack actually ain't that great. Except for Ohio State being 34th. Just 3 spots in front of LSU. But outside of that, the teams around LSU, Purdue at 36, Minnesota at 38, Arkansas 39. Mississippi State was up at 33. Not the company that LSU's really used to keeping there. And it just really drives home the struggles you had in the Big 3. And when you look forward to this coming sports academic year, it's hard not to be excited, right? It's hard to not envision LSU somewhere in the top 10 of something like this next year when you do a year in review. With the expectations and the investment that's been placed on Lane Kiffin in the football program and going out and getting Lane Kiffin, bringing back Will Wade, the investment you've seen in that program and his unique way of roster building. Obviously, what Jay Johnson's done in the portal, getting like the top 2 players in the transfer portal, and you're able to really retain your best players. And transfer portal in baseball is closed now. It's hard not to look forward and go, next year could be a little bit different, couldn't it? And then, oh, by the way, Kim Mulkey, still here. You know her team's going to be very good and make a deep run. I'll be very interested to revisit this next year and see if LSU doesn't crack the top 10 with the likes of Alabama, Texas, Michigan, Oklahoma, Georgia, Miami, Tennessee, those teams. Because on paper, it's certainly set up for them too. That's what summer's all about, man. Summer's all about looking forward and going, it's all going to turn around for you here come the fall. That's certainly the hope for LSU because last year, man, certainly was a really tough pill to swallow, especially in the big three sports. All right, we'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll wrap up hour number 2 of AFR like we do each day with Tigers in the Pros. That's next. Stick around.
AFR.
Buying or selling, commercial or residential, think real estate, think Darren James. You want an unbelievable customer service experience? You want Darren James. It's part of his core values for Darren and his team. Darren tells me all the time, as long as I've known Darren, he said, my goal one day is to put myself out of business. I want to create such a turnkey, seamless, easy process for people to be able to buy and sell homes that they don't even need me anymore. Well, as Darren continues on that path in the meantime, he's going to help you sell your home. So if you need to sell your home, you want a realtor that quite literally sells more homes than anyone, you want Darren James. Last year, Wall Street Journal is listed the top 1% of realtors in America, Darren James. So need to sell your home fast for the most amount of money? You need Darren James. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
All right, putting a button here on hour number 2 of After Further Review. It is a Wednesday edition of the show presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, yourgoodwood.com. Musso in for Moscona, but we'll still wrap up hour number 2 the same way we do each day with Tigers in the Pros. Take it away, Braxton.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, so Kevin Gausman for the Toronto Blue Jays last night went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts with a 4.19 ERA versus the Mets. They go on to lose 3-0. Gausman is now 4-7 on the season. Dylan Cruz for the Washington Nationals last night went 2 of 5 from the plate. Nationals get the win over the Red Sox 8-1. Alex Bregman for the Chicago Cubs last night went 1 of 3 from the plate, 1 home run, 1 run, 2 walks, 3 RBIs. Cubs get the win 9-7 over the Padres. Paul Skeens tonight is on the bump versus the Phillies. First pitch at 5:40. That was your latest on Tigers in the Pros.
Yeah, the Nationals beat the Red Sox like 10-0 today, too. That sucked. And
There's a couple games. I think Bregman actually finished earlier today. And then there was a few other ones. But
I didn't enjoy getting those updates on my phone all throughout the day. I had like 10 ESPN notifications, and each one of them was just the Nationals scoring another run. And I was just like,
I don't get those time notifications.
That really hurts a little bit there. It's okay. The Red Sox swept the Yankees over the weekend in 4 games. It was fantastic. I enjoyed that an awful lot. One more thing to add, actually, to that Tigers in the Pros. I don't know if y'all saw this today. Anthony Ianson and Cade Anderson, they're going to be in the same dugout again, which is going to be awesome to see. Both of them have been elected to play in the Major League Baseball futures game around All-Star Weekend. That doesn't come as a very big surprise, I don't think, to anybody. I mean, if you look at Cade Anderson this year in Double-A, he's actually just making a mockery of professional baseball. He's 8-0 with a 1.2 ERA in 13 starts. He's punched out 99 in 66 innings. Like, if he wasn't in the futures game, that'd probably be the biggest upset in futures game history. He's just been astonishing, as he was for LSU in the rotation in 2025. And Anthony Ianson, his former rotation mate, also for the American League squad in the futures game. He's 2-0 so far on the year with a 1.07 ERA, 12 starts, 50 innings, and 64 punch-outs. So he's been pretty darn good, too. So congratulations to those two guys. They've become the latest former Tigers to participate in the MLB All-Star Futures game. I mean, they joined the likes of Kurt Ainsworth, Aaron Hill, Anthony Renato, Aaron Nola, Alex Bregman, Dylan Cruz, Trey Morgan. Morgan participated in the skills showcase back in 2024. Gage Jump, who's obviously now in Major League Baseball. Tommy White, and now Anderson and Ianson joined that group. So really, really awesome honor for those two. And it's crazy to look at. It's crazy to look at the list, for LSU there. And I mean, every one of those guys that we just went through played or is playing Major League Baseball outside of Tommy White, Trey Morgan. By the way, both those guys are in Triple-A, so they're one step away. And then Anderson and Ianson, who they're not long for the big leagues either. Like, Cade Anderson might be up with the Mariners after the All-Star break. Like, that wouldn't surprise me. You got to get team control and all that stuff in there too. But his performance definitely dictates that. So if you're a former Tiger and you make the futures game, chances are you're going to play Major League Baseball one day, just looking at the list of guys who have done that. Also, this might sting a little bit for some of you to hear, but I do this every time I see, like, a roster or whatnot, like, for a game like this. I always look for former LSU signees, and there are two who are making the futures game as well, both on the National League side. Cam Caminetti, you might remember him, was like the top pitcher in the high school class, signed to LSU, ultimately went with the Braves out of high school. It's going very well for him. He's going to be in the futures game. And then Miguel Cime Jr. is also in the futures game as well, which, man, he was another really highly touted pitching prospect for LSU in this last cycle, and ultimately took the money and signed with the Nationals. And he has been destroying professional baseball as well. So, look, I mean, those guys never made it to campus, but they also didn't play for anybody else. So they had intentions of playing at LSU, so we'll give a hearty congratulations to those guys as well. But, man, could you imagine both of those players? That would have helped a little bit, considering the issues you had throwing the ball over the plate, things of that nature, and just your overall issues from the mound. But nonetheless, congratulations to Cam Caminetti and Miguel Cime Jr. They're also in the futures game, along with former Tigers Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. All right, we're due for a break here shortly, top of the hour. But first, we'll get Matt's take on Evermore.
Brought to you by Evermore. Drink Evermore, EVAMOR, Evermore.com, Evermore.com. For elite athletes, for someone who just wants a healthier lifestyle. Maybe you're a parent, you want a healthier option for your children. Evermore is a great option. I would highly encourage you, bottom line, if you're drinking tap water, don't. Bare minimum, filter your tap water. But the best option is Evermore. This is natural artesian water. It's underground aquifers on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain, right there in Covington. They dug a well into that aquifer, and I mean, it's literally thousands of years in the making. That's why they call it Mother Nature's masterpiece. That's what they're pulling out of the ground. The only filtration is take like the sediment from the ground out of the water, and it goes right into the bottle. So it never touches air until you uncap it, take that first delicious sip. Learn more where you can buy it, great retailers or online, EVAMOR, Evermore.com.
All right, it is a Wednesday edition of AFR. Of course, brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Musso in for Moscona. One more thing, just selfishly, with the Anthony Ianson and everything like that. he's in the Red Sox organization, so that makes me very happy, and I think they should just go ahead and call him up too. Starting pitching hadn't necessarily been their problem, but, Connolly early, maybe a little arm soreness last night opens the door for Anthony Hyanson. I'm here for that. They should also call up Franklin Arias, who's their number one prospect out of Venezuela. But anyway, nobody cares about that. I understand.
I do got one more thing. I was just curious, and Flau'jae Johnson is 5th on the Rookie of the Year ladder to win it for the 2026 WNBA season. So she's 5th.
Hey.
And she's currently averaging 13, 5, and 3 with 1 steal. She's had really, really good back-to-back games. She had 24, 11, and 4 last game, and the time before that, 28, 9, and 2. So she's scoring, so hopefully she kind of moves up in that ladder and makes her way to the Rookie of the Year.
She's had a great rookie season. We've been following a little bit in Tigers in the pros, and it's not just her either, man. Like Anissa Morrow, she might still be leading the WNBA in double-doubles. I know she was like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, Angel Reese.
She's an automatic.
Yeah, I mean, Angel Reese is still doing Angel Reese things over there and up there in the WNBA too. So I mean, look, ladies are showing out too, man.
Hey,
That's
hopefully
awesome.
We'll see more Tigers, in the following years if Kamoki continues to recruit well and LSU continues to play well.
Oh yeah, Michaela Williams will be up there pretty soon as well in the WNBA, making waves and making headlines.
Did you see the 3v3 USA?
She hit the game-winning shot.
She
I
was
did.
Scoring on like nobody.
We showed it here on the show during Tigers in the Pros one day. That was awesome, man. So you love to see the former Tigers go on and do great things, and there's obviously plenty of them doing that, and that's just such a great recruiting tool, obviously, for LSU across multiple sports.
Yes, definitely.
Grab a break here. Sports Center will get you caught up on national headlines. When we get back, excited about this conversation. Pete Nako spoke to a lot of Power 4 general managers about the spending that happened in NIL and high school recruiting here in June, and there's some really interesting tidbits about some LSU targets as well, and numbers were named throughout this entire piece. We'll really break that open and start to break it down next after Sports Center here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawbillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shawbills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires, the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good you're going to keep coming back year after year after year every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil change, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shawbills. Let them give it the once-over, and you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawbillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Shop tires online at